This will be about activity 2.3.1, filling out tax forms. So on this activity, you're given two situations, two different people, and you have to fill out one of the tax forms for each. One person will need the W-4, one person will be needing the W-9. So of the two forms, you need a W-4 if you're starting a new job, and you need the W-9 if you're doing some sort of contract business where you're only working for a little bit. So let's take a look at our W-4. We can open that up. So when you open up, it should allow you to enter in values in certain spots. You can't edit everywhere, but like you should be able to enter in a value for A and for B. If it's not letting you enter in values, you can type your answers into a separate Word document. You'd have to open up your own Microsoft Word document. You don't have to like rewrite everything. You could just put A and then put the answer for A, B the answer for B, C the answer for C. So that's an option if it doesn't work to type it in. So if it will let you type it in, I'm going to use a different situation than either of the ones that were shown. So the situation I'm going to use, Jose Garcia just got a job working as a plumber. He will be on salary for $55,000 a year. He is married, his wife works, and he has 3 kids. Fill out the correct form for him, and then you're provided his address and his social security number. So we're going to go to the W-4 form. He started a new job. He needs to fill out a W-4 for his employer. We're going to answer each of these questions. So A says enter 1 for yourself if no one else can claim you as a dependent. That means you're a working person, you're the one who takes care of the bills. So Jose works. No one's going to be claiming him as a dependent, as someone who has to take care of him. Okay, so question B, enter 1 if you are single. He's not, so we can skip that. You are married, he is, have only one job. Only one job is his plumber job. And your spouse does not work. Okay, his spouse does work, so no for that one. And the third one, your wages from a second job or your spouse's wages are $1,500 or less. So this one, the spouse's wages weren't, his wife's wages weren't given, but we're going to assume they're probably more than $1,500. So none of these apply. So you only enter 1 if one of these did apply to the situation. If they don't, you could either leave it blank or put a 0. Okay, question C. Enter 1 for your spouse, but you may choose to enter 0 if you are married and have either a working spouse or more than one job. So for C, you can choose. He does have a spouse, so you could put 1. But she does work, so he may choose to do 0, so that actually will mean more taxes are taken out. But that means at the end of the year, when you do your tax returns and stuff, you'll probably get money back instead of having to pay. Okay, question D, enter number of dependents other than your spouse or yourself who you will claim on your tax return. So those dependents would be his kids, people he's taking care of, he's paying the bills for, feeding, clothing, housing, all that. So 3 dependents because he had 3 children. E, enter 1 if you will file as head of household on your tax return. So head of household is usually the person who's making the most money. Again, his wife's wages weren't given to us, so there's a little flexibility with this question. I'm going to assume he is making the most money and that he would be head of the household. Enter 1 if you have at least $2,000 of child or dependent care expenses for which you plan to claim a credit. So child care expenses, you would have to keep receipts and stuff, so most people don't do that. So we're going to put a 0. Even though he does have children, most people don't claim that. G, child tax credit. if your total income will be less than 65,000, so his is, enter 2 for each eligible child. Then less 1 means minus 1, if you have 2 to 4 eligible children, or less 2, so minus 2 if you have 5 or more. So we would enter 2 for each child. There are 3 children, so 2 plus 2 plus 2 would be 6, but we minus 1 because he has 3 children, and 3 is between 2 to 4 eligible children. So G would be 5. And then H, you just add what you had up above. 1 plus 0 plus 0 plus 3 plus 1 plus 0 plus 5. All of that together is 10. So that's the first part. Then the rest is just name and initial and stuff. So his name was Jose Garcia. Oh, sorry, Jose is only the first name. Garcia is the last name. Social security number was 222. All 2s for him. Home address was 584 East Market Street. Now often these boxes are not actually checking off. So you do not need to worry about checking the boxes because for some reason they are not ending up being checking off for us. His city was Random City. Oops. Utah 88888. Total number of allowances you're claiming. That's the number we found up above, 10. Additional amount, if any, you want withheld from each paycheck. Some people actually have the government take a little bit more out than would be required by claiming a 10, but it doesn't give us that information. It doesn't state if he does or does not, so we're not going to have any money there. So we'll leave that one blank. 7, I claim exemption from withholding for 2015. Exemption is very highly unlikely to happen. That means you wouldn't have to pay any taxes. So 7 would also be blank. And it doesn't say employer's address. This would be where your employer would fill out. So we don't have to fill out 8, 9, or 10 either. There is no way to sign it, so we don't sign it. Now there is a second page. This again is not used very often. It's if people want to be a little more specific on their claims. So page 2, you don't have to fill out either. That's all we needed to do on this one. It's finished. So now we need to save this file. Now saving a fillable PDF like this is weird. I can't just hit the save button. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to hit the print button. Doesn't matter if you don't have a printer, you're not going to actually print a physical copy. So you hit the print button. Most of the time your destination will say a printer, so most of the time mine would say this Brother printer. But what you need to do is to change it to save as PDF. So once it says save as PDF, it'll have a save button instead of a print button. So we're going to hit the save button. We're going to pick where to save it. I'm going to pick my desktop. 2015 Form W4. You can make it more specific so that you can remember that it's completed and what the file was. So this was activity 2.3.1. And I'm even going to put that it's finished so I know it's the completed one. You hit save and you're finished with that document. So when you actually go to the assignment, you have to decide whether Jerry or Carrie is using the W4 form and whether Jerry or Carrie is the W9. And then you'll fill them out like we filled out the form for Jose. And then when you want to submit it, it'll have a little plus sign here. It doesn't for me since this is the teacher view. So you can add, or it'll have like the word choose. It'll have something where you can put your attachment, and you should be able to attach both forms at the same time. Okay, so that concludes our discussion of Activity 2.3.1, filling out tax forms.